Let's get analysis. Elton Hart from the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic is a legal analyst and he joins us now. Thank you so much, Elton, for your time. So the two brothers, Siyabonga and Malusi Ndimande, are expected to appear, as we've heard, in the Manzini Magistrates Court tomorrow. What are we likely then to see happen during their first appearance?
Now, obviously, what one needs to look at, because here we've got an issue of extradition, because their appearance, they've been arrested. And now I think the court in Eswatini would be seized first with the request made by South Africa to actually have them stand trial for the alleged committing of a murder in our jurisdiction. So I think that is what the court is seized with. But obviously the legal representative will have to make sure that he has full instructions from his clients and that he's ready to proceed to actually deal with the extradition request by the South African government. Obviously, once that has been dealt with, if they say extradite them or not, then we'll see how it unfolds. If they are extradited to South Africa, then they will do their bail application in South Africa. But I think tomorrow he might be saying, I'm coming on record since my client has been arrested. I'm now the attorney of record and I need to consult and also get some documentation pertaining to the extradition request that was made by South Africa, because there is certain guidelines and protocols that we have to meet as a requesting country from the requested country.
And you make a valid point in terms of these processes now being complicated by this extradition that South Africa is currently undertaking with Eswatini. What then does that mean? Because we know that the 5 who were arrested in South Africa who've appeared, their case has been postponed to the 6th of March. The understanding there is to have all of the 7 accused then appear before the court. What is then likely to happen with that process in terms of, these 2 that are in Eswatini having to then be located with the rest of the accused?
No, I think if anybody from the NPA or government think that they're going to have all 7 in the dock on the 6th of March, it's wishful thinking, because we know extradition proceedings takes long, and we can take that from the Bushiri case. We are still struggling to get them from Malawi to, who is not too far away. And they are also a signatory to the SADC protocol on extraditions, similar Malawi. So there is constitutional processes and things that needs to be followed. And we need to prove that we are actually just extraditing them purely on the murder of AKA and Tibz. Nothing else, because there's things like where they see, are they going to be treated fairly? Are they going to be politically persecuted? All those type of things. We need to satisfy the Eswatini court. Although there's good relationships between Mbabane and Pretoria, we still need to make sure that we comply with international law, which means that we need to give them recognition to their rights to make sure that they would be treated fairly and also they will be safe.
In light of, all of these things that are happening on the sidelines of the main case in South Africa, we know that in Eswatini, the National Director of Public Prosecutions there, as well as a legal representative of the 2 brothers, will be meeting today. What are they likely to discuss, just given some of the issues that we are currently talking about, extradition included, and also how then they will be treated when they go back to South Africa?
Now, obviously, when the legal representative speaks to the National Prosecuting Authority in Eswatini, they would be solely focused on the extradition request to make sure that it complies with the SADC protocol and other international treaties to which both countries are parties to, and which is then legally binding on us. So they'll have to look at that request first to see, does it comply with the protocols to actually say that these guys should be extradited, and we need to check also the offenses that is leveled against them. Is it extraditable offenses? Obviously, we know it's murder. Murder should be murder in Eswatini, so that should not be a too big an obstacle. But that is what he or she, the legal representative, needs to actually address with the Director of Public Prosecution in Eswatini. And I also know that Shamila Batoy from our side will also be meeting with them. So they need to have talk and see, but still there needs to be court proceedings where a court order is made in Eswatini that says that these 2 gentlemen, the Ndimande brothers, must be extradited to South Africa, and their case, and they must be given a fair chance as to why they would be objecting to be extradited to South Africa.
Mr. Hart, when you look at the process in which South Africa took in arresting, these suspects, the 7 suspects, KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was at pains to, just describe the strategy that the South African Police Service took in this particular matter, in that they arrested, the first suspects to the last suspect and kept them in prison before bringing these particular charges to them. So they arrested them for other crimes. I mean, how likely is the strategy then to further bolster the case that they have against these 7 accused?
I think the only thing is for them, because as they said, they wanted to keep this investigation a secret until it's sort of to completion, and they know actually who's all the role players that was involved in that. And hence they actually had to go look at, is there parallel cases that is running or is instituted or is under investigation against the alleged committers of this crime of killing of AK and Tibz. So they use the parallel cases to actually bring them to court and make sure that they have their hands on them, because some of them, I believe that they were like sort of hiding from the law enforcement agencies, and they tried to use, and they could only find 4 cases against 4 of these accused persons. So the other 3, they had to like literally wait till the end, until everything is in place, and then they can affect the arrest. But I don't want people out there, because I hear that they say that they've arrested 7 suspects. Currently, they only have 5, because the other 2 are still in custody in Eswatini based on an international Interpol warrant. So technically, we have not arrested them until they get to our shores. Because if South African police go and arrest them in Eswatini, it means that we are outside our jurisdiction. So they have to wait for them to be delivered to our shores where we have jurisdiction. Thereafter they arrest them, then we can say we've got 7 arrested. But currently we have 5 until those 2 are extradited. Then we have 7. So we just need to make sure that we're not missing, because I see that a lot of people are talking about the 7 suspects that has been arrested, but I know 5 has been arrested in terms of South African law, not in terms of anything else. So we just need to make that distinction so that we don't lose the people if we talk loosely about that. But that is what needs to happen, and that is how it's going to sort of have unfold. But the parallel cases was just for them to sort of lay their hands on them, which I think to some extent it's an underhanded tactic, but sometimes if people is evading the law, you have to use alternative methods to actually get them so that we have them, and now we can charge them with the actual murder of AK and Tibz, because they did not want them to scare them off and maybe destroy evidence or just go to countries where they know it will be difficult for us to extradite them back to South Africa.
I appreciate that distinction. As we conclude our conversation, you mentioned the Shiburi case in terms of the extradition. I want to bring that back into this particular one, given that these crimes are completely different and the weight might have something to do in terms of the merit in extradition. I mean, when you look at the fact that the Ndimbande brothers are also wanted for other crimes, murdering 2 people in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal, how will this then fare in terms of speeding up that process? Is it likely to impact their process at all?
I think, and once again, as I said, Mbabane and Pretoria normally have good relationships. It's like literally Eswatini is part of South Africa. So I don't foresee that there will be political tension, but we don't know how this request that was made to the Eswatini government, how it was framed by our NPA as well as DIRCO, because they have to play a role in this application for them to be extradited. We don't know how that was framed. Only if we have a sight of that, we can see, okay, no, this is clear cut. This actually shows that they've committed one crime. They didn't stop at that, or allegedly committed one crime. They didn't stop at that. There was another one, and this is something serious to us, and hence, and all these crimes was committed in our jurisdiction, and also they are South Africans by nationality. So that should sort of have speak in our favor in getting this process sped up. But you don't know how that request was framed and how their lawyer on the other side in Eswatini is going to actually sort of have oppose this extradition based on certain things, because we don't know what they are going to raise as a defense to the extradition request. But that will all pan out if we request, or maybe we see the court appearances, then from there we can actually pick up and say, okay, on this basis they are opposing and saying that they will not be treated fairly, or they might be persecuted for other reasons, their actual offenses that they are charged with.